He said the military genius is the man who can do the average thing when everyone else is losing his mind. And I think it's the exact same in investing and finance. If you can merely be average when everyone else is panicking, you are top 1%.
Welcome to Prof G on Money, a special series where we're joined by Morgan Housel, best-selling author of The Psychology of Money, along with his latest, The Art of Spending Money. This is the second and final episode where we're taking your questions on all things money, saving, spending, and everything in between. Anyways, you ready to chop some wood here?
Let's do it.
Our first question comes from user DeliciousCoffee993 on Reddit. They say, at what liquid net worth should people consider slowing down and enjoy time over continuing to build via paychecks? Unless you start your own business, it is unlikely most people will hit Scott's level of wealth. So at what point should people consider it enough? Or put another way, at what point is another 1 million just not worth the loss of time with kids, parents, etc.?
The difficulty of this question is how easy it is to tell yourself, once I have $1 million, that will feel like it's enough, or 5 million, or 10 million, whatever it might be. And you genuinely tell yourself that. You genuinely believe it, that once you have that much, then you won't feel any desire for more. And if you are like 99.9% of people, if you're fortunate enough to get to 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, whatever it is, then the right amount is going to be roughly double that. There's so much evidence from the research that shows that no matter how much money you have or how much money you earn, the amount that you think is enough is double of what you have right now. People who have $100 say the right amount is $200. People who have 100 million say the right amount is 200 million. It tends to be that. It's always just this perpetual moving of the goalpost to do that. Now, there is a thing where if you are satisfied with your relationships, you're satisfied with the work that you do, you have a good marriage, your kids admire you, the city and the town that you live in really admires you, then your desire to say, I need so much more, tends to be much less than it otherwise would be. So I think if you are very confident in other aspects of your life, then your desire to associate your net worth with your self-worth really diminishes. And so I guess to answer the question, there is no right amount for that. I know people who have lived very good, amazing lives, pretty much in some form of retirement with $500,000. There are also decabillionaires who wake up every single morning saying, it's not enough. It is not enough. This is the classic Chris Rock joke where he said, if Bill Gates woke up with Oprah's money, he'd jump out the window. And so there's always a level at which it's never going to feel like it's enough. Understanding your propensity to move the goalpost and your desire to find value in your life outside of your net worth is one of the most important topics with money.
Yeah, I think about this a lot. So you say something, Morgan, that really resonated with me, and that is, rich is the stuff you see, wealth are the things you don't see, right? The real wealth is a peace of mind. You know you're bulletproof. You don't need a flashy car. I no longer say this is what rich is. I say this is what wealth is, and that is figure out how much money, what your burn is. Say you need $100,000 to live your life. What wealth is you don't have to do anything. You don't have to get up. Whatever you do, you choose to do for money because your passive income is $100,000 a year. And generally speaking, a general benchmark is to say, okay, if that number is 100,000, times it by 25, that assumes a 4% post-tax return, you're pretty bulletproof, which means that once you've managed to save $2.5 million, which isn't easy, you're done, or you're technically wealthy. So the question then becomes, well, what is that number? And for me, that number has gone up 100-fold. And I'm not exaggerating. I thought when I was in college, if I ever have a base of $1 million of liquid net worth, I'm kind of done. And that is, I'll be working just to work. Then as I got older and I thought about a family and a house, it went to 10 million. And then when I got to 10 million, I decided I'd really like to have a plane. I'd really like to give money away. I'd really like to feel like I'm relevant. And unfortunately, and I hate to say this at my age, relevance for me is still strongly attached not only to my professional relevance, but how much money I make. And I can't snap out of it. And I've said openly, I think everyone has certain addictions, and that is, what is an addiction? Something you engage in despite it having negative ramifications in other parts of your life. I'm addicted to the affirmation of others. If someone comes on YouTube and says, Morgan's amazing, but Scott's an awful human being, it will bum me out and maybe take me away from my kids for a few minutes. That's an addiction. It shouldn't matter. I'm also addicted to money. I got lucky again, and I'm done. Theoretically, I'm done. If I have a bad day in the market, it upsets me. and it makes no difference in my life. So my number went up 100-fold. When I finally did hit that number, I have consciously tried to have a practice of saying, okay, get off the hamster wheel. Money is the ink in your pen. It can write new chapters. It can make certain chapters burn brighter, but it's not who you are. What is your purpose? Like, what are you trying to achieve here? Because my whole life, my only purpose was economic security. My mom got very sick and we didn't have money. And when I had kids, as I told you, I wasn't in the place I wanted to be. So it is just hardwired into me. I've never been able to fully snap out of it. But I do think what Morgan's talking about, evaluate your relationships, evaluate your health. And once you have a point where you can survive an economic shock, take your kids on a vacation, have health care. They say that is around, they used to say that was $75,000 a year. I think that's bullshit. I don't think anyone can be economically stress-free at 75. I think that's more like $200,000 or $300,000 a year. And I don't know if you've read any Daniel Kahneman, but his research was once you get to that certain point, incremental money is no happiness, which says to me, and I want to put this to you, this goes back to public policy. I believe that. So for me, pick a big number, $2-3 million a year. I don't understand why we wouldn't have tax rates of 60, 70, or 80%, because it's not making anyone any happier. Whereas if you can redistribute that money to universal, childcare or healthcare subsidies or schools or after-school programs, things that really make a difference in people's lives, and it's not going to make any difference in uber wealthy households if they make $4 million a year instead of $4.5. Why wouldn't we have incredibly aggressive incremental tax rates above a certain amount? I realize this is a bit of a off-ramp here, a diversion, but I'm just curious to get your thoughts on this, Morgan.
Yeah, I mean, that's effectively what we did in the 1950s. And in some aspects, it did work out. In many aspects, it didn't. One little quirk on this that I think is important is what some of the research shows. But if you are starting out as a happy, content, smiling person, then earning more money is like an amazing thing. Like, it leverages who you are in either direction. And that's what's really important. But it's too easy to tell yourself, if only I earned twice as much money, then these problems would go away. If only I earned more money, then my spouse would love me more. My kids would talk to me more. I would be in better health. I think around the edges that actually can be true to some extent, but dramatically less than we assume that it will be.
Support for the show comes from Nutrafol. If you're dealing with hair issues, including thinning or shedding, don't just slap any old product on your head. Find one that's physician-formulated like Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people. You can feel great about what you're putting into your body since Nutrafol hair growth supplements are backed by peer-reviewed studies and NSF Content Certified, the gold standard in third-party certification for supplements. You can purchase online and there's no prescription required. Automated deliveries and free shipping keep you on track. Plus, with a Nutrafol subscription, you can save up to 20% and a Headspace meditation membership is included. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Prof G. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com. Promo code Prof G. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Prof G.
Let's go on to question 2. Question number 2 comes from user To Put It Frankly on Reddit. They say, is it okay to hold a higher cash balance, for example, 35% of total portfolio at 4% yield just to help me sleep at night? I'm 31 years old, but I worry with all the layoffs in the tech scene, I may be unemployed for 1 to 2 years and want to have that cash for peace of mind, even though I should probably invest it. Morgan?
Not only is it okay, it's what I do. I'm not recommending necessarily that everybody does that, but the biggest risk in your personal life and throughout the economy are things that you are not talking about and nobody sees coming. The biggest economic stories in the last 25 years were 9/11, Lehman Brothers going bankrupt, and COVID. And the common denominator of all three of those is nobody saw them coming until the moment that they happened. And same with Pearl Harbor, same with like all the big events are the ones that are unforeseeable. And in your personal life, your individual life, nobody gets married thinking they're going to be divorced. No 25-year-old thinks they're going to die of cancer in the next 10 years. Go on down that list. The biggest risk in your personal life are things that you are not thinking about today. Because of that, the only thing that you can really do financially to guard yourself and protect yourself in that world is have a level of savings that seems like it's too much. Like if you are only saving for the events that you can foresee, then by definition, you're not prepared for the surprise. And the surprise is always the biggest risk. And so when I save money, or if a financial advisor were to look at my asset allocation, they might say, what are you saving for? You saving for a house? You saving for a new car? And my answer would always be like, no, I'm saving for a world in which the biggest risk is always what I don't see coming. I have no idea what the next COVID is going to be, what the next 9/11 is going to be. And if I only have enough cash for the risks that I can foresee in front of me, I'm going to be caught off guard. And so the other thing about that is that if you have a higher cash balance, it gives you a fighting chance to keep invested in the stocks that you own. The only thing that's going to matter for the investments that you own over the course of your life is whether you can remain invested when shit gets real, when shit hits the fan.
100%.
That's all that matters. And if having 35% cash means that when the stock market falls 50%, you're able to leave it alone because it's not that big a deal and you have this cash, this liquid savings, then actually the return on that cash is much, much higher than the 3% you're getting in your savings account. If it prevents you from selling and having this unbelievable financial scar from dumping your stocks at the bottom, then the actual return, the implied return, it's a hidden return that you earn on your cash, might be 10 or 20%. And so that hidden return on cash from letting you sleep at night, from being there when you need it, and preventing you from dumping your stocks at the worst possible time can be enormous.
Yeah, I love that. Like money helps you do wonderful things, but money isn't just about the additional things it gets you. It's about freeing you from an absence of things, an absence of stress that you can't afford healthcare. It's about taking things away. It's about knowing that if someone in your life, God forbid, is diagnosed with lung cancer, it doesn't mean you're going to go bankrupt. So it removes certain stressors. And everybody at the end of the day has a different level of emotional susceptibility to stress. Now, theoretically, people will say, always be invested in the market, just diversify, that's usually the way to go. There's also people that say, always have 6 months of kind of emergency funding. Because to your point, Morgan, what you never want to be, well, one, you don't ever want to be stressed, but two, you never want to be a forced seller. Because if you're a forced seller, I can guarantee you, basically, when you get divorced, you're a forced seller. And that is, you've got to sell a house, you've got to sell stocks, you've got to divide stuff. And I can guarantee you, I don't care when you get divorced, it will be at exactly the wrong moment for the assets you have. If you're a forced seller, it usually means other people are forced sellers and buyers are swooping in with, they smell fear, they're swooping in with ridiculous below market offers. So the great financial recession where, the markets got cut in half or more, they ripped back, in 14 months? So you want to talk about emotional stress. If you had a burn and not enough savings to cover your burn and you were a forced seller of stocks and then you saw them rip back, imagine the anxiety you registered then. So I 100% agree with Morgan. You don't want to be a forced seller. A lot of it is kind of up to you around where you get emotional comfort. What I do is I don't have 35% in cash. What I have tried to do was make myself somewhat bulletproof by a massive amount of diversification. That is, I don't have 35% in cash. What I have is no more, other than real estate where I'm overinvested, but outside of that, I never have more than 3 or 4% of my net worth in any one thing. Because now, it's unlikely I'm an investor in a Chinese fast fashion company, in Japanese bonds, and in a European aerospace company, and in tech stocks. It's unlikely they're all going to go down together. They might. I also own some Bitcoin, which I never thought I would own. I also own some pound sterling in case the dollar crashes. Because to be clear, cash in the US dollar right now is riskier than it's ever been. It itself is a decision. It's an investment decision. We have a traditional sort of comfort, false cold comfort, that if I have savings in dollars, I'm fine. Well, there's a scenario where those dollars are not worth nearly as much. So I get comfort, and everyone has to find their own levels of comfort, and there's best practices, but I get comfort, the same comfort that, to put it frankly, on Reddit gets. I get that comfort from massive diversification. Any final thoughts here, Morgan?
No, I think that's good. I mean, all the stocks that I own is basically mostly the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index. It's 6,000 companies that's owned in there. You're right that usually in the heat of a crisis, most correlations go to 1. And it doesn't matter whether you own small caps, large caps, techs, banking. It doesn't matter. They're all going down indiscriminately. That tends to be the case. And so you can still kind of fool yourself even with big diversification, particularly for short periods of time when everyone's panicking. But to that point, I love this definition from Napoleon. He said the military genius is the man who can do the average thing when everyone else is losing his mind. And I think it's the exact same in investing and finance. If you can merely be average when everyone else is panicking, you are top 1%. And so it's less too about your financial diversification and more about the behaviors that you can maintain once or twice per decade when everyone's losing their mind.
I love that.
Support for the show comes from LinkedIn. We say this all the time on our show, but it bears repeating. Running a small business isn't just a full-time job. It's about a dozen full-time jobs that you rarely, if ever, get to clock out of, at least until you get to the point where you can start hiring the dream team. And if you've made it that far, you already know there's no time to mess around. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share with your network, and get qualified candidates that you can manage all in one place. And LinkedIn's new AI feature can even help you write job descriptions and then quickly get it in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And if you decide you want to go the extra mile to find the perfect candidate, LinkedIn says that promoted jobs get 3 times the number of qualified applicants. It's all these little things that let you find help fast without compromising on quality, which add up to you finally having extra time in the day for, relaxing. Or, knowing my listeners, you'll probably use that extra time to expand your empire even further. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/prof. That's linkedin.com/prof to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Support for the show comes from Leesa. How well you sleep is just as important as how long you sleep, and Leesa is making mattresses that get you the sleep you deserve. Mattresses from Leesa will adjust your body and sleep position in a way that feels intentional, and the support can help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. Leesa has a lineup of beautifully crafted mattresses tailored to how you sleep. Each mattress is designed with specific sleep positions and feel preferences in mind. From night one, you'll feel the difference. Premium materials that deliver serious comfort and full body support no matter how you sleep. Our producer Jennifer was sent a mattress from Leesa, and she said that she noticed a discernible difference in her sleep quality. Go to Leesa.com for 25% off mattresses, plus get an extra $50 off with promo code Prof G, exclusive for our listeners. That's LEESA.com, promo code Prof G for 25% off mattresses, plus an extra $50 off. Support our show and let them know we sent you after checkout. Leesa.com, promo code Prof G.
Welcome back. On to our final question. User Bowtender OC says, a big fan of Morgan. I'd love to hear some detailed personal spending from him. He's discussed his approach and philosophy, but I'm curious about specifics like where does he skimp and where does he splurge? Is he financially independent? Does he put money in plans for his kids' future education? Private or public schools? Does he fly first class or private ever? Are his friends normal or wealthy? And what about you, Scott?
I could just share my screen and pull up my credit card statement or something. I don't know. Look, my wife and I have been together since we were very young. So we became adults together. And when we met, we didn't have any money. So we've gone through this together, which has been a good experience. And our financial situation changed very dramatically in the last 5 years when we had 2 kids and we had already been married for 10 years. As a big saver, and I still am a very big saver, I don't view it as saving money. I view it as purchasing independence. And so what is the biggest expense that I have? It's independence. And that feels like I'm cheating on that question. I get it, but it's the most valuable thing in the world to me, to wake up every morning and be like, I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever the heck I want today. And that's my prized possession by far. People have different personalities on that, but to me, nothing has ever meant more than that. We do spend on actually spending stuff quite a bit more than we did 5 years ago. We bought a new house a year ago. We've gone take awesome trips. The truth is we buy anything we want. There's no budget. The truth too is that was true 15 years ago when we made 99% less money. And so it's always kind of been like that. What's important to me, always been important, but very important now that we make a little bit more money, is that I'm not beholden to the money, that the money is not commanding my personality, and that I don't say, oh, because we make this much money, we have to drive this car and I have to own this watch and I have to dress this way, even if I don't want to. That is when you are just a victim. You're beholden to what money's telling you to do. And so I want to use it as a tool to become the best version of myself, but I don't want it to define who I am. And so we travel well. We eat well. I love hanging out with my friends. I have one of my best friends in California. I've known him for a quarter of a century. He's an awesome guy. I love paying for his first class ticket to fly up and see me. And then we go out to fancy restaurants and what. Nothing makes me happier than doing that for him. It's the coolest thing in the world. And so I want to use money as a tool to do things like that rather than being beholden to what I'm supposed to be because I earn X dollars per year.
Yeah, we're of the same mind here. I'm older than you. How old are you, Morgan?
41.
So you're way ahead of where I was at your age. I'm 60. I got very lucky. There's nothing like $7 trillion in stimulus pumped into the market to keep people who already have assets wealthy. And so I've basically, vis-a-vis our government, been using the next generation's credit card to see my assets, which I were able to acquire. I'm not humble. I'm a fucking monster. I'm talented. I work hard, but it's better to be lucky than good. And since 2008, my net worth has absolutely exploded because what do you know? We've been in the biggest bull market in the history of any economy anywhere for 17 years. And I'm on the back nine. And that is, I always say the difference between the U.S. and Europe is the U.S. is the best place to make money. Europe's the best place to spend it. I'm in Europe for a reason. I'm in the part of my life where I've decided I want to spend a lot of money. I think in a capitalist society, I can't stand it when people don't know how to spend their money. I know a lot of people, and you just wrote a book on this, who are really, really wealthy. They have like tacky homes and they don't take nice vacations and they worry about money. I'm of the mind you don't really own money, you rent it. But if you rent it out, you can do just amazing shit with it. I spend a shit ton of money. And I spend probably 50% of it on what I'll call experiences. And that is, I do amazing vacations with friends and family and plan them out and live in beautiful homes. And I just don't I love what you said about your friend. I do the same thing. What's changed in the last 10 years for me is I don't think of it as philanthropy. I think of it as consumption. Every year I look at how much money I spend and I try and match it and give it away. And I don't do it out of guilt. I do it because it makes me feel really masculine. It makes me feel very American. And I find these amazing nonprofits, mostly in public education and in teen suicide prevention, that I just think are outstanding organizations and I can have a real impact. I'm not a billionaire, but I give millions away. And it's one of the most rewarding things that I do. And by the way, I didn't give a dime away until I was like 45. I can't pretend to be a philanthropic person. I wasn't born that way. I find it just very rewarding and a lot of fun now. I imagine you feel this way. One of the most rewarding things in my life is that when I met my partner, we didn't have any money. She was just out of graduate school. All she had was student debt. And now we're wealthy. And having built that together and getting to spend it and enjoy it together is so rewarding. It's so much fun. We'll be somewhere extraordinarily beautiful or get to give money away and we can just look at each other and just high five each other that, this worked out and we built this together. It's so rewarding that it's like I've always said, it's not having the money's great, but it was earning it that was fun. And what was remarkable was earning and building it with a partner. That was just
together.
So much fun. Any closing thoughts here, Morgan?
I mean, what you're really getting at is what you really value right now and what have compounded over time are those experiences and those memories and, the experience of doing it together. And so it's less about, there's a great Will Smith quote about fame where he said, becoming famous is the most amazing feeling in the world. Being famous is merely okay. And losing fame is one of life's great tragedies. And I think inherent in that is like what you want is the growth. That's what feels good. And I think for a lot of people, that's true for money. You don't actually want to be rich. What you want is to partake in the process of becoming rich. That's what feels great. And if you're doing that with somebody else along the way, along that journey, 100 times better.
I love that. Morgan Housel is the best-selling author of The Psychology of Money and a partner at the Collaborative Fund. MarketWatch named him one of the 50 most influential people in markets. His new book, The Art of Spending Money, is out now. I absolutely love Morgan and his stuff. I can find a lot of his financial advice in a lot of places. What he's able to do is connect it to humanity and happiness. That's his superpower, is that you just get the sense this guy knows how to take these principles, and once you get there, enjoy it and be happy and have really strong connective tissue with yourself, your health, your relationships. It's as if I think of you more as like a psychologist than a financial person, but you've really been able to blend the two, and you have the best quotes ever. The one I'm going to take away from this one is that the military genius is the person that can just do something at average while everyone else around them loses their minds. Anyways, Morgan, very much enjoyed this. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Scott. Fun as always.
If you'd like to submit a question for next time, you can send a voice recording to officehours@propgmedia.com. Again, that's officehours@propgmedia.com, or post your question on the Scott Galloway subreddit.